I'm Helen.
And I'm Liz.
And we're sisters,
Scientists.
and lifelong X-Files fans.
And this is We Want to Believe.
Hey, everybody. We're back. Have you missed us? I don't know. That was weird. I don't know how to start these things. All right.
They have not. And now they're not going to.
Well, they're not forced to. You can just turn this off right now. Actually, don't turn it off. It occurred to me, I should be telling you, just opened our podcast, listener. And if you haven't hit subscribe, do it now. That would be nice. We would appreciate that.
Just
click
please.
the button. Just boom. Just click it now. Okay, now you're done. Now you can listen to us.
Yes. And we have stories today.
Yes. Yeah.
We have some updates. Liz apparently has a story from Europe.
Yep.
And we took a break basically because Liz was in Europe and
It was increasingly difficult to schedule things.
Yes. I was working several jobs, very tired.
Yeah.
Hard to, when I would be done, she would be asleep.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it just didn't work out. So I am back in the US.
Yay.
But I'm going to bring you a story from Scotland today.
I'm excited. I haven't heard this.
It was really random. I'll just to tell the listeners, I got COVID while we were in Ireland. So I was in bed for many days. It was just like, it was a flu for me is what it felt like. It wasn't super bad, but obviously I had to stay in my hotel room and not do anything. So a lot of the deliberately spooky plans we were going to do some ghost tours in Edinburgh. We were going to go to some haunted places in Belfast. We ended up not getting to do those.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's what ended up getting axed when I got sick.
That's too bad.
And so when we flew into Edinburgh, our schedule had changed. We were only there for one night. It ended up turning out, but really liked it. Can't wait to go back. Saw a couple hours of it. But okay, so we flew into the Edinburgh airport. And what I like about this story is that, like I said, we didn't go on any ghost tours. We didn't seek out anything creepy. This just happened. So first of all, at Belfast, at the airport there, we'd already checked in online, but they don't have just like a nice little baggage drop. You have to wait in line, and it's a pretty small airport. So it's like, if there's multiple flights leaving at once, you're waiting in line for a while. And then there was like, these details don't matter. We kind of made friends with this dude who was in line near us. Like, we accidentally cut him off, and he was really nice. And so it was this Scottish guy, older guy, I don't know, tall man with gray hair, nice, I don't know, very friendly. And then we kept seeing him. He was on our flight. And then when we got to the Edinburgh airport, we were waiting for our bags and finally got them. And then as we were waiting and like going to grab them, because it was weird, they were coming out like 2 or 3 at a time, and then the belt would stop. And then a few suitcases and it would stop. And so finally ours came out at the same time as his. And so we were walking and we were going and kind of talking to him. And he was like, "Oh, so you're staying in Edinburgh?" And we're like, yeah, it's our first time there. And he's like, "Oh, you should go to this one cemetery." And he starts like telling us right away about the cemetery we should go to. I don't remember the name of it right now. Adam might remember.
Oh, no.
I know. Adam will probably remember. I was still like post-COVID, real exhausted. Like, oh God, I'm moving out in the world and even walking is exhausting sort of thing.
Yeah.
But we're standing there talking to this guy, and he tells us how he did this. This is unbidden in the Edinburgh airport. He's like, "I did this ghost tour once, and we walked through this cemetery, and the tour leader told us that oftentimes people, when they come through here, will find that they have scratches on themselves.
Oh,
they don't know the source of." And he walked through and thought everything was fine. He had his cell phone in his jeans pocket. And then when he left, he saw that though his jeans were fine, there were what looked like fingernail scratches dug into the glass of his cell phone.
Whoa.
Yeah. And he's just telling us this in the Edinburgh airport.
Whoa. Oh, man.
Yeah. I was just like, I got to get back to Scotland. This is amazing.
Oh my gosh.
It was so weird and random, you know?
Wow. Oh, that is so creepy. Oh my gosh. Whoa.
Yeah, like gouged in there. It's so awesome.
Whoa.
Creepy, but
I-
awesome.
I'm wondering, one of our listeners, Molly, the vet who has
Yes.
talked to us about the tensile strength of skin previously, she lived in Edinburgh for a couple years. So
God,
I'm,
that's right.
yeah. So Molly,
Oh
if
my
you hear this,
God.
I want to know,
Yeah.
I mean, she was mostly busy being a veterinarian, to be
God, I
fair.
completely forgot that you lived there, Molly.
Yeah, for years. So I want to, and happy birthday. It's Molly's birthday today.
Oh, Molly.
So, I want to know what that cemetery is. I want to know if there are
Yeah,
other
I
stories.
got to remember. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it stayed in my head, but Adam might remember. Or maybe we can look up creepy scratches, Edinburgh Cemetery, see what we
Now
get.
it turns out that like you're going to be doing some history into the cemetery, some digging, pun not intended, and you see a picture of like, I don't know, the like founder of the cemetery or
Yes,
someone
and
famous
it's that
buried
man.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's totally what's going to happen. Oh my God. I can't wait when that happens.
Yeah. Cool. So, today I didn't watch the episode again.
That's okay. We support Helen in,
Yeah.
I want to say work-life balance, in podcast life balance.
Yeah. It's podcast, work, life, foundation, all sorts of balancing.
If you listen to this podcast and you don't know us already in person, Helen is the founder of the Marigold Foundation, which exists to provide financial help to families who have lost a child and have medical bills. Is that true?
Yep.
Did I say that?
Yes, that is true.
Is that true? It's a front. No, I just want to make sure I said it right. Like,
It's like the worst money laundering sort of scam. Yes, that is correct.
And,
And it is, I was telling someone about it recently and they were like, oh, so what did you do before that? Like implying that was my full-time job. And I was like, oh no, I'm a professor.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I don't need to complain about being busy because everyone is busy.
It's okay.
And, I didn't watch the episode, but I did watch several hours of The Good Place, which I've seen previously. But, it's a very different vibe. So
It is. And also, like, sometimes your brain just can't handle any, like, analysis and you need to just, like, relax with something positive.
Exactly. Yes. Cool. All right. So tell me about it.
Okay. So we are talking about episode 18 of season 1. This is a so-called Monster of the Week episode, meaning it's not part of the overall mythology, although there is some stuff in here related to Mulder's backstory.
Oh.
And so I'm going to tell you.
Which one was this?
Miracle Man.
Okay.
I certainly have seen this episode, but I did not remember any of the details about it. I actually did find the reveal sort of surprising. And when I'm done telling you about it, I also have some stuff that in doing research about the episode, I discovered some things that exist that I didn't know about. And I'm so excited. And I'm going to make us do a thing and you're going to see, and it's going to be great.
All right.
For future episodes, we're going to do it. We're going to do a thing. It's going to be great. Okay.
I'm ready.
So we'll get to that. And then also at the end, I think as Helen mentioned, when we're done, we're going to share a listener story of something spooky and weird.
Yes.
So we'll get to that at the end. Okay, so this episode starts with, it's 1983, and you can see there's like a fire, and there's emergency trucks, and there's a body bag, and this young boy who's probably like, I don't know, 10 or 12 or something, him and his dad, he kind of like pushes his way in, and he asks to see the body, and they're like, he's dead, kid. And the dad is like, well, then he can't do any harm, can he? And so the boy like lays his hands on the body or on the bag, I guess, and is like, rise up and heal. And he does. And he comes back to life.
That's like the worst sort of police work. I mean, like, my God.
The worst.
No, I mean, no. But like that, like.
Yeah, you're just like, sure, touch the dead body.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. All right. So he does.
But he does, and the guy comes back to life. And so then now it's the future, or it's the 90s. And Scully is telling Mulder about a case. This is one that she found. And so she's showing Mulder this video of this like tent preacher. And it's the dad, and the boy is now, you know, a young man, early 20s or something. And it's like faith healings. And
Ooh, man, this sounds interesting. I should have watched it. No?
I feel like there's nothing wrong with this episode, but I didn't find it especially interesting. But I don't blame the episode.
Huh.
I think it might have just been my mindset because I had other stuff in my mind.
Okay.
Or it just didn't particularly interest me because I don't know.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll watch it too.
Yeah,
before
because
next week.
as I was watching it, as I'm talking about it, I feel like, oh, this sounds quite interesting. Why was I not more interested? So they're at this town. They're not there yet. They're watching the video and they're seeing this boy, like this young man, Samuel. And Calvin, by the way, is the dad who runs the show. And it's very like what you picture. He's in a suit and he's really charismatic and he's collecting a lot of money. And, there's all the people cheering and praising God and whatnot. Yeah. And Samuel comes out and he like lays his hands on this woman who's got like a tumor on her spine or something. Mm-hmm. And is going to heal her. And then Scully stops the video and is like, okay, so actually that woman ended up dying basically right after this. Oh. And we think that kid, Samuel, young guy, had something to do with it because she didn't die of the tumor. She died mysteriously. Oh. But the congregation wouldn't let them do an autopsy. And so because they were members of the congregation and all of them are no autopsies. Also, at the front of the church, not really doing any talking, you can see this man in a suit, Leonard Vance, and he is the guy who was raised from the dead. Oh, okay. And he's got kind of scarring on his face because he'd been in a fire, and he's very strange. And he's like in a black suit and he's got sunglasses and a weird hat. And he's like kind of a part of things. So he's like become part of their ministry. So Mulder and Scully go down there and they're talking to the sheriff, and the sheriff clearly thinks these people are con artists and is like, let's go and see them. Fair. They go to the show, the whatever. Yeah. I don't know the right word. And
the church service?
Yes, the service show. This reminds me of a good show. Me when I've watched football with Adam and Quinn and accidentally refer to the players' costumes. So they go to the church show, and Samuel, the young guy, is not there. And you can see the crowd is disappointed, and the dad, Calvin, is trying to talk through it and be like, "Oh, he'll be back. It's all good," Yeah. And so Mulder and Scully and the sheriff decide that they're going to exhume the body of the woman who died. They finally talk her family into it. And so it's nighttime. Why is it always nighttime when they do exhuming bodies?
I don't know. In my experience, I have never...
Have you exhumed bodies?
Well, it depends on what you mean. I mean, not...
Is there a lot of
gray area? Well, I've excavated in working cemeteries. So it hasn't been.
Can you be a little more specific?
Yes, I have.
What specifically doing, and what were you removing?
Digging bodies. That's a semicolon answering both questions. Okay. So what I was doing was digging. What I was digging for was bodies, but it was, skeletalized remains. And so it wasn't for any sort of, investigative purposes. That's what I mean by it wasn't like exhumation for, the police. It was, right. They were already skeletonized. And so we were digging, but it was in a working cemetery. So we'd have to be careful because people were there to visit family members. And
why were you doing this?
So this was in Cyprus. Whoa. And so, yeah. So, I was in Cyprus in 2016 and, One of the things that we were there to do was to dig up, to excavate some of the skeletonized remains, some of the people that had already been skeletonized, to put them then in either the ossuary or in smaller boxes. So Cyprus is a very small island, and it's off the coast of kind of that corner of Turkey, Syria, Egypt in there. So it was cool. I mean, there were Roman ruins when we were there. There were also Egyptian ruins.
Whoa.
Yeah. So because it's so small, they don't have room to just straight up bury everyone. They don't have these like big giant rolling cemeteries like we do here.
Yeah, yeah.
And so one of the ways that they do that is that you kind of lease a plot for 7 years. And so then once a person is skeletonized, they can be like I believe this is the way it works. I hope I'm not confusing it with what they do in other countries. But you can then, I think, possibly renew like the lease, or you can be like share the plot and be collected into a smaller vessel once you're skeletonized and then put at like the foot of the grave. And then someone else can be put in there. So, yeah.
No, it's interesting that you mentioned that. I just saw in my Facebook memories from a couple of weeks ago was when Adam and I were doing some research on a cemetery in Paris. Ooh. For our upcoming vampires trip. And we were just like looking at a list of notable burials. Mm-hmm. And somebody, I think it was a scientist, I can't remember who, was buried there. And then they have a note that his body was lost. And I was like, okay, it was just lost. But it's because the plot had been rented. And when they removed him, they then misplaced him.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not that uncommon in Europe. But for land use reasons. Yeah. So that's what I mean. So I have not, I wouldn't call that exhumation as much as excavation. Okay. But it was all in the daylight.
Okay.
I mean,
yeah. I mean,
there was no reason to,
it's always at night on the X-Files.
It's always at night.
Always. Yeah. So they're excavating. And of course, as this is happening, all of the church folks start coming up with lanterns, super creepy, to protest because it's against their beliefs. And so while
we just had a lot of cats. Sorry.
What'd you say?
We just had a lot of cats.
Oh,
cemetery cats.
I wish that this was going to be a twist where they were cats or something, but no. So, unlike when you really, really predicted the
the lizard salamander hand.
Yeah. Then they get word, like while Scully is talking to them, that they found Samuel, the kid who they think killed this woman somehow.
Right.
And he is drunk at a bar, and he's like, I did this. I killed her. I totally deserve this. I've turned away from God. I've done bad things. And he's super drunk and remorseful. And Scully's like, something about this doesn't feel right. Like, he's just like, yep, I did it. But he's not really offering any other details. And then he starts telling Mulder, and this is where it gets a little bit into the kind of the main plot. He's like, you've lost someone. You're haunted by a loss of, it's your sister, isn't it? And so he starts talking about Samantha.
Yeah.
And so then a couple different times later in the episode, Mulder starts seeing visions of her in crowds. And it doesn't really go anywhere, but there's like multiple times where he sees her and he tries to find her and he can't. So they go and they do, there's a hearing for Samuel, just like a bail hearing. And the judge is, the judge is like, we should just let you go. Like, this isn't, not let him go, period. But like, I think he's fine to be out on bail.
Okay.
And so he's like, no, I don't deserve it. I'm so guilty. And then they're like, dude, quiet.
Yeah.
His lawyer is not happy. And then the courtroom fills with locusts. After he is declared free on bail, which Samuel feels is an expression of God's displeasure with him being freed. The locusts are very, there's real bugs in there. They have to all leave. But while Samuel's out on bail, he goes back to preaching, and he attempts to heal a woman in a wheelchair. And
Mulder, like, it should be disallowed as conditions of his bail, right?
You would think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I don't know what to tell you about that.
So update for our listeners. My children are home, so we may have to make this a shorter.
I'm going to speed things up.
Yeah.
Get ready. You can put this bit to yakety sax or something. All right. So he goes back. They're at the service. Mulder and Scully are. Mulder gets distracted because he thinks he sees Samantha, and he's like, "Oh, I gotta go find her" in the crowd. And Samuel tries to heal this woman in a wheelchair. She has a seizure and dies right there.
Ooh.
Scully tries to save her. Nope, she's dead. So now he's put in jail. The sheriff is very angry. The sheriff hates this family. And you're thinking, maybe that's reasonable, sheriff. But then the sheriff puts some guys in the cell with Samuel to beat him to death.
Oh my God.
Yes. And it is quite not good. So that's bad. And then he's like, yeah, he started a fight with these other guys. And it's very clear to the viewer that that is not what happened.
Right.
So that's horrible.
Yeah.
And Scully finally gets to do an autopsy. And, I'm sorry. I have the order of this wrong. First, before Samuel is dead, he's in the jail cell. Scully does the autopsy, finds out, how did the woman die? Cyanide poisoning. It was not something magical. It was that she'd been poisoned.
Ooh.
And so she goes and she talks to Samuel in his cell, and he's still all, I'm guilty, I did this. But she manages through conversation to make it clear he has no idea she died from cyanide poisoning. So it's clear he's actually innocent. She's going to prove it. And then he gets beaten to death.
I see.
So that's not good. And then Mulder starts doing some research on this whole locust phenomenon. And he finds out that actually they were just grasshoppers, and you can look up who ordered grasshoppers. And so he finds out that Leonard Vance ordered a whole bunch of grasshoppers. That's the dude who was saved from the fire.
Say what you want about America, but you can still order a hell of a lot of blanks for $13.
So then it flashes to Leonard Vance, who's sitting in his house. Mulder and Scully are on their way there. Leonard has a vision of Samuel. It seems pretty clear he's hallucinating out of guilt because Leonard killed all these people.
Why?
So he puts some cyanide in his glass of water and he drinks it. So then he's dying as Mulder and Scully arrive because he has poisoned himself. And he says basically he was just really angry and bitter that he should have died. And now he's back, but he's still not himself. And he's been miserable. And so he just poisoned some people and made it look like Samuel did it. I didn't really follow that.
Yeah.
And so then they find out that Samuel's body has disappeared from the morgue. And
is he back to life?
Well, apparently, they don't really look into this, but he's been spotted walking around town with bruises on his face. So
they don't look into that.
No, because they solved their crime, so they have to leave. And the episode ends with showing that the sheriff is getting arrested by one of his deputies to investigate the whole murdering this dude or having him beaten to death thing. Samuel is Jesus? I don't know. And Leonard Vance, the poisoner, is dead.
Okay.
And the ministry is shutting down. So,
Okay.
All right. So that's the episode. I felt okayishly, whatever. It was fine.
Yeah.
But now I can tell you some other things about it.
Yes, please.
I discovered, I was just, looking up episode summary because I wanted to make sure that I knew about it. And I discovered that, a couple decades ago, 16 young adult novelizations of X-Files episodes were written. And this was one of them. So they're written from the point of view of a young person in the episode, but it's the plot of the episode. And so this is written from Samuel's perspective.
Get out. That's cool.
Yeah.
Wait, are they fan fiction or actually
actually published things? Yeah.
Whoa.
Licensed things. But it gets better. In 2017, I think only 2 books so far in this series called X-Files Origins, which are stories about Mulder and Scully as teenagers solving crimes in original mysteries.
Oh my gosh.
We are going to read one and talk about it on the podcast.
Ooh, yes, totally.
Well, we'll discuss
Terrible.
what format you would like it in. I was going to say arriving at your house, not terrible. Yeah. So let me just tell you, in the spring of 1979, 17-year-old Fox Mulder has bigger problems than applying for college. 5 years ago, his younger sister disappeared. Mulder blames himself. His mother blames his father, who has retreated into his top secret work for the State Department. In his Fox's senior year, his dad has moved him to Washington, D.C., away from his friends on Martha's Vineyard. While Mulder doesn't mind the fresh start and not being known as the kid with the missing sister, he's still obsessed with finding Samantha. Here we go. So when a local boy turns up dead and another child is abducted, Mulder can't stop himself from getting involved. As he uncovers the truth, Mulder and his friends find themselves on the trail of a serial killer.
Oh, man.
So yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I know. I kind of hope it's really good, but I don't know.
It could be. I mean,
I guess here's what I feel like. Since getting into writing, I realize there's some like really good, cool authors who get into, what do they call it? Works that are already existing. There's a phrase for it that I'm just forgetting, like copyrighted existing stuff. No, not fanfic. No, like things where like licensed. For example, this writer I know got hired to write a book about the girl who was in the new Buzz Lightyear movie. I didn't watch it, so I don't know.
I didn't either.
Yeah. So like, there's a term for this type of work, but where like a company hires you and they're like, hey, we want a thing about this character. And this is kind of what we want it to be about. And then you write it. And it's like good writers do that for extra money sometimes. It's hard to make a living as a writer. So knowing that, I feel a little like maybe it's good. We'll see. We're going to find out though. We are.
Oh,
if you'd
that's
like
fantastic.
To read it, look at Agent of Chaos, X-Files Origins, and read along with us.
Okay. So which one are we reading first?
I think we should read there's 2. So we'll read Agent of Chaos. And then there's also one called Devil's Advocate, which is about 15-year-old Dana Scully.
Oh my gosh.
Also in the spring of 1979. So that's the second one. So I feel like we should read Agent of Chaos first, and then we can read Devil's Advocate. They're by different authors. So
okay. Oh, interesting. Huh.
We do that,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, totally. Let's do it.
Awesome.
All right. Great.
And we are going to wrap stuff up with a listener story. Would you like to share it or shall I?
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Cool. So this is from Christine. And Christine says, this falls in with the weird government stuff kind of episodes. When I was a kid, I lived in New Orleans. We had like 3 oil refineries, a sugar refinery, and a NASA site. I was 13, 14 at the time and was at my best friend's house. I spent every day I could at her house because her parents let us stay up all night goofing around. It was around 3 a.m. and there was this huge boom. The windows rattled and we both froze. This was also after 9/11, so our fear was through the roof. It was some kind of attack. We look outside and see that in the direction of one of the refineries, there's this bright orange glow lighting up the sky. We rush out into her yard and get out her telescope to try to get a better view. It was a piece of junk, so no better view was to be had. As we were fiddling with the telescope, there's another ground-shaking boom, but from behind us. Another refinery was now ablaze and lighting up the sky. By this point, her mom had woken up and came outside. We talk a bit about what could be going on before she ushers us inside for fear of what we might be breathing in. We turn on the TV and the local news was covering it. There was all kinds of theories being thrown around. That planes' wreckage could be seen, that people were inside, but nothing they could show. We stayed up till past sunrise watching the news until we couldn't keep our eyes open any longer. The next day, there was some minor coverage to say it was an accident, and after that, it was never spoken about again. I find it unlikely 2 major oil refineries on the Gulf Coast had massive explosions the same night was just a coincidence. But that's actually the story they tried to spin. After unsuccessfully trying to say it was only one, few people were actually awake, so I guess they thought they could get away with it. Below is the link to the only news story I've been able to find about it. Also, if it were an X-Files episode, I think Millie Bobby Brown should play young me.
Oh,
I don't know enough young actresses to pick anyone else, but my best friend should be someone a solid foot shorter.
okay. I don't know enough young actresses either. And
Yeah, but I like it.
And then I looked up the article, and yeah, they do make it sound like no big thing. Yep, there's an oil refinery on fire, and there had to be an evacuation. It was contained, not expected to be a threat. And then the fire chief said, yeah, there was another refinery fire just an hour earlier, but that one was more routine. No connection between the fires is suspected.
More routine.
Yeah, that's what I really want to know. Like one of those routine big fires. Yeah. So, and if you heard that, that is probably the sound of our episode ending.
Yes.
Child.
It's the 4-year-old alarm.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to be back. I will watch the next episode, which I swear I say a lot. But
you usually watch them. It's Shadows
usually watch
coming up next. So is that true?
I don't know, but that's familiar.
Episode 19 we are watching. I think it's Shadows.
Okay.
Shapes. And we already watched Shadows. We already
I thought that sounded familiar.
Yeah. Shapes.
Huh. This sounds like one we'll make fun of, but that's just a guess.
Yeah.
Cool.
Maybe it's just like triangle.
Yeah.
I don't know what that would even be. I'm pretty sure that's not
There
it.
is an episode named Triangle.
Oh my God. Oh, and that's such a good episode.
Yeah.
Speaking of shapes. Yeah. Oh, that's a fantastic episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, we'll watch Shapes next. Episode 19.
Send us your stories.
Yes.
Thanks to Christine. And until next time.
Oh, and like, remember, review, rate us, please do all that stuff. It's really nice. And you can always find us on Instagram at We Want to Believe Pod, or email us at wewanttoBelievePod@gmail.com.
Yep. All right.
We still don't have a good sign off. So
no,
for now,
we don't.
we will
Bye.
say bye.